Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Paul Hall, Chocolate Sane, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello, and Armin as well. Hello, Armin.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Any signs of a physical, geometric, sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
Not from Mount Rushmore.
chance.
Not from Mount Rushmore?
Nope.
Hey,
I want to
getting in
set a precedent.
special audio advertisement for
I want to set
audio
a
software.
precedent.
Sorry.
Right, what about the presidents?
Not from Mount Rushmore. I'm setting a precedent.
You're setting a precedent. Boom, boom.
I don't know. I'm going to ask Thunderf00t that question.
What, any evidence of a physical, geometric, sphere-edge horizon formerly known as Earth curve?
Yes, I'm going to ask him that question.
Well, it depends. He might just turn tail, cut his losses. That would be a very sensible thing to do. However, if he continues to engage with us, he may learn about the reification fallacy that is geometric, sphere-Earth mathematics, and how they've been debunked by the Black Swan.
Well, he likes math, so I figured that's going to be one he's going to jump right in on.
Yeah, well, as I said in the pre-show, we've got to take every opportunity during this show to have a damn good laugh at how stupid Thunderf00t is. Now, given that he hasn't actually commented on the geometric sphere horizon, he did mention the transit of Venus, though. Now, that's utilised by way of Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion, and an assumption that Venus has the same R value as Earth. The assumed value we debunked with the Black Swan, as I mentioned earlier. Well, Christian Huygens assumed that Venus, that light in the sky, had the same radius value as Earth. Wouldn't you know? Just an assumption. Same as the assumption that Earth has a radius value. Unfortunately, though, that's been debunked. We do not see the geometric horizon, even though it used to block boats and buildings. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No, our census would tell us if the Earth-based variety rotation was happening. Just like it tells us when we're in the car or on an airplane or on the train or anything that's moving, we would know.
We'd also observe Coriolis effect. That would be to say
True.
that if you were watching an aeroplane from the ground, Coriolis effect, which is suggested Earth has because it's supposed to be spinning, would suggest that you would watch that plane seem to take a curved path because you're spinning underneath it as per Coriolis effect. Now, if you're observing a plane seem to take a curved path because you're spinning underneath the plane, then Earth is spinning underneath the plane, and that would shorten flight times when travelling west, and you'd be fighting against Earth turn when travelling east. Of course, no flight time has ever been affected ever by Earth turn, because Earth is not turning underneath planes. But that's the assertion, that we observe Coriolis drift because we are stood on a claim to be spinning Earth. Therefore, things that are not attached seem to drift. like aeroplanes, helicopters, drones, balloons. However, we don't observe anything ever drifting ever. You don't launch a drone and watch it drift away from you because Earth's spinning underneath it. That doesn't happen.
Okay, Nathan.
Evo video, they use the what do you call it? The thing that Bob used. What was that called again?
Oh, the fibre optic
Gyro.
gyro. Yeah, exactly. If Earth turns underneath a fibre optic gyro at 15 degrees an hour, then it also turns underneath the aeroplane, so you can see the not actual deflection in the aeroplane. See, it seemed to curve, even though it's not. It's actually travelling straight, with Earth turning underneath it, and you observing it seemed to drift. Well, that would mean Earth's turning underneath it now, wouldn't it, Neil? At 15 degrees an hour?
Yeah, of course. That's what they said.
No evidence from Melbourne, says Leonard J. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Nathan, can I screw that up for you for a second?
Screw what up?
What if the Earth wasn't turning, but what if the space in which the Earth was the thing that's actually turning in relation to the space outside of it, so that the space would be turning with the Earth within and not the actual Earth, so that there would be no momentum issues?
Well, Arwen, there's a hole in that question already.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, because you're saying the space next to the space. And so how is the atmosphere not escaping into that other space?
And also, does this yield a Coriolis effect as it's claimed Earth does?
Well, the stars would be the Coriolis effect then.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but
So no
you're
15-degree deviation in a gyroscope, no planes drifting because you're rotating it. So no Coriolis effect then.
Well, because the Earth itself would not be rotating, but the space in which the Earth was would be in relation to the space outside of it.
So
Right,
how
but-
come the gas pressure stays in the first
Oh,
place?
yeah. Before we get on to the
That's
second
not,
law,
we
hold
were
on.
talking about turning.
No. So, given that would be the example, then how would you explain Neil deGrasse Tyson's example? So, a ball is kicked, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and from the stand, you see it seem to curve. Like my example with the aeroplane, just with a ball leaving the ground rather than an aeroplane leaving the ground. He says it seems to curve from the stands and go through the goal because Earth turned underneath it. But your example wouldn't yield that effect, would it, Arwen?
He just doesn't understand. He's basing that on faulty old assumptions, just like all those weirdo gravity believers still think Newtonian gravity works and all that. You know, he's still operating on the old ways.
Oh, the old believing in a globe Earth ways, where globe Earth gives you Coriolis effect. Yeah, he believes in that nonsense. It's not demonstratable in anything beyond his football example, but there we go. Shout out to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Shout out to Al Junkie, who says 9 miles visible from 1 Thunderf00t height. Hashtag Mifa. Also, shout out to Rakia Life. I have never seen or felt Earth spinning underneath me. How do I feel this? Thanks for the super chat, everyone. Any scientific
So
evidence?
I play.
Go on.
Hold on, I got a question. I play a lot of sports, so every time I throw a baseball straight, shouldn't it be curving?
From the stand, once
If
you
I'm on a
release the
spinning
ball,
Earth.
once you release the ball, it would be claimed that if you're watching that ball and you've thrown it perfectly straight, from the stands it looks like it's going to take a small curved trajectory. It doesn't really curve, it just looks like it from the stands, because from the stands you're turning underneath the ball in a different reference frame, with the ball not attached, travelling straight but seeming to curve, because you're claimed to rotate underneath it.
That never happened.
Neil, that was a very
by
bad
that-
example.
Hey, Chocolate.
By that logic, you would never have to throw a curveball because every ball you throw straight
That's
would
what I
end
was
up
thinking.
apparently curving.
Yeah, except if you
That's what I was
throw it
thinking.
from the other direction, though. Then you have to throw a double.
So the
Double
best curveball pitcher was actually applying Coriolis.
No.
I love you.
No, stop. Right, no. The ball and what it does is kind of irrelevant. It's what you observe of the ball that is Coriolis. So watching the ball seem to curve because you've thrown it off a roundabout, for example. So you're spinning on a roundabout, you're holding a ball and you throw it. And you go, oh, look at that. It looks like it's curving away from me. Well, it's not. It's you spinning underneath. And the same is said to be happening on Earth. Because they claim it spins. So you look up at the plane, it's not attached to Earth, And you go, oh, look at that, it looks like it's curving. And the guy next to you says, it's not really curving. That's just an apparent deflection. That's Coriolis effect. The reason we observe the aeroplane seem to curve is because the Earth's turning underneath the plane. And that would shorten flight times when travelling west. Because if Earth's turning underneath the plane, Earth's turning underneath the plane for us to see Coriolis effect. And not actual deflection because Earth's turning underneath it, according to the claim of a spinning ball Earth. Obviously, no flight times are ever reduced travelling west. The ground doesn't come towards you if you fly. If you hover in a helicopter, a continent doesn't just make its way to you while you hover. It's preposterous. There are no examples of Earth turning underneath anything ever, beyond these nonsense assertions like Neil deGrasse Tyson makes with a ball that's in the air for a split second.
Nathan, may I put a caveat here? They want us to admit, like they say, that we see a Coriolis effect. But when we ask for a physical geometric horizon, they say they can't see that one, though.
Yeah, we have a constant battle with people asserting by the high priesthood of heliocentrism that we should, for example, see Earth curve. And here's the geometry to measure it. And then we point out that you can't measure a geometric sphere edge horizon. And they tell us that's correct, we can't see it, it only exists in maths. And that's justified by them. Like it's reasonable to say, no, we can't see Earth curve. It only exists in maths, but it's perfectly acceptable to reify that geometry that's hijacked perspective and put it in Muppet vision, otherwise known as orthographic view, and use whole numbers for the feet in inches or meters value of something you're looking at, which won't change with distance, won't change angular size. Therefore, if something disappears from bottom up, they'll ask you how many feet and inches have gone, a size that doesn't change with distance, so that they can take the effect of perspective, that'll be angular size relationships, and call it Earth curve. Even though you can't see a geometric horizon, we can't see it, we can't measure it, and yet Al-Biruni's claimed to have measured it now, isn't he? And when we put that to them, they say, well, he was trying to measure it. He came within 5% of a point that you can't see and can't measure, don't you know?
Al-Biruni's failure.
All right, I just realized something, guys. I played baseball all those years, and really every time I seemed like that ball was deviating, it was actually what I was not hitting was a fastball. So, I don't know if you got my pun, but it's deviating, truly deviating. Oh, great. I'll dismiss myself now.
It would have been great if Neil hadn't made that joke 4 minutes ago.
I was
trying to get in. I was trying to get in to do that. Sorry.
Oh my god.
Well, that sucks if you're the hitter, right? And you're the hitter that's standing on the non-inertial reference frame, and now you got a ball coming at you, appearing to deviate, and now you got to hit it.
There's a way to rephrase
remember,
this, right?
It's only if home plate is facing north to south.
You couldn't throw a fastball if Earth was rotating underneath. That's the bottom line. So you couldn't throw it straight. Because no matter what you did, the ground turns underneath it, according to their rhetoric, giving you Coriolis deflection from the stands watching the ball. Well, that means you can't throw it straight. It will always deflect from your vantage point watching it whilst attached to the ground. You can't throw a straight ball.
Tested. I want a very, very large stadium-sized platform with football players on it, and that whole stadium rotating, and let's see what happens.
Well, actually, if it's east to west, it would be a ball would be sinking. It would have to remember. I think that's what they said. The bullet will tend to want to drop on if you go in one direction. If it's going to the other direction, want to rise. So if it's east to west, it would be rising or sinking.
Well, there's your sinker ball.
There you go. Exactly.
Quick couple of shout outs. So shout out to Unitox Femu. He says, excuse me, what people believed between Biruni year 1000 and Galileo year 1500. Then Columbus took all Al-Biruni's books and studies and went to the adventure. Well, thank you very much for the super chat, Unitox Femu. Also, Al Junkie again, thank you very much for the super chat. A swerving ball proves Coriolis. Hashtag swerve ball. Swervature, sorry. Thank you for the super chat.
Swervature.
Swervature.
That's good.
Are we done with this? Go on. Who was that in Discord? Neil. Neil, you're just causing background noise. Can Can you pop yourself on mute?
Sorry.
That's okay. Right, let's move on. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container for the gas to press upon?
Gravity barrier. Gravity barrier.
What now?
Well, what did Thunderfoot
what?
say? What did Thunderfoot say about gas pressure?
Oh,
Wait, this guy really calls himself Thunderfoot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shocking.
So Thunderfoot decided to just either, we haven't quite made up our mind yet, either he's completely incompetent or a fraud globe salesman. We haven't quite decided yet. But ultimately, he decided to describe gas as behaving like bouncy balls, which are solid, even after detailing what helium was and how we'd named it, based on, according to him, stellar spectroscopy, debunked by PhD spectroscopy expert. That would be our very own John, Dr. John D. So
Did he
shout out to
use the
Rakia
mostly
Life.
down argument?
Say again, sorry. Mostly
Did
down.
he use the mostly down argument?
Yeah. Well, no, he doesn't understand that gases have intermolecular bonds, and thought that he could equivocate them with a solid. That would be a bouncy ball to get it to behave in the way he wants, so he can have gas here.
Right.
Rakia
It
Life
just reminds
got
me
it.
of the time of Rumpus when he did that.
Just 1 second. So Rakia Life says, "Why did you deviate from my last super chat? Was it that bad of a turn of events?" No, I just couldn't read it. It was off the screen. I've adjusted my I've adjusted my screen sizes so I can read your chats properly now. Sorry, I didn't mean to misread it. It just fell off the screen. Thank you for the super chat, Rakia Life. Really appreciate the paying me for a correction. Moving on. Did we have any evidence of gas pressure without a container beyond utilising the idea that a gas behaves like a solid, as Thunderfoot did?
Gravity barrier. Gravity barrier.
Gravity's not a force. You can think of it
Well,
as a force, but that would be
I
the
know.
definition.
People say that the gas itself is holding itself nowadays.
I know. But in this case, the gravity would be the effect of something else that is still keeping the gas inside.
Gas pressure is the force over an area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're going to need an area.
All right, it's basically saying, okay, there is some kind of energy field or whatever, and I'm just saying it's gravity.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that's it.
see. You're just making shit up.
That's what they do.
Yeah, they do. But they also just talk complete nonsense, as I keep pointing out. You know, if you can't have gas behaving in a manner that would be conducive with a ball earth in a vacuum, just describe it as behaving like a solid. Because you've got to punt your religion, right?
But that's a step too far for me.
Well, it's just
I shared
downright
this-
stupid. It's just downright idiotic. You know, the people who would say such nonsense, people like Thunderfoot, are just complete clowns. Just idiots. You know, gas is unbonded, solids are bonded. They're fundamentally different. You were taught this very early on in your schooling. But, you know, these kind of people who would use a false analogy and describe gases as being like solids, they also call themselves scientists.
Nathan, I had this discussion the other day with two gentlemen on my property about gas pressure without a container. And they were tracking with me, and then they said, okay, hang on, what about this? And they proposed that there are different gases in the vacuum of space than the gases that we deal with here on Earth. So maybe they behave differently and they can stick together. So then I said to them, so what you're saying is gas behavior is different in a place that doesn't exist because you're assuming space? And they said, well, hang on, let me finish the story. So then I said, what happens here when you put gas in a vacuum, when you introduce with an opening of a valve into a vacuum, what happens to that gas? I go, it fills the available space, right? I go, so why isn't that not happening with Earth in next to that space? How come our gas isn't escaping, let alone the gas you think is different somewhere else, which you wouldn't know because it's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, and that kind of took care of it.
Yeah, Thunderf00t took a similar approach. So he begged the question and said, well, basically, I believe that the CERN and Jupiter are also standing in violation of the second law of thermodynamics. Therefore, I've proven that you can violate the second law of thermodynamics and we can have gas pressure without a container here, because I believe that light in the sky violates that very natural law, never to be violated, inviolable, applicable always.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm first. And you.
Hold on, Neil. Go ahead, Darwin.
Go ahead, Owen.
Right, no, what I got... Come on, Neil. What I got hung up on is that somebody's claiming, gas. Now, maybe the gas works differently in another region. So he was basically saying, so the gas basically isn't gas anymore then. That's what I got out of that.
Yeah, he's saying gas doesn't behave like gas. You know, gas law, it doesn't behave like that. Second law of thermodynamics, it doesn't apply to gas, because gas is behaving like solid.
It's that new power level of gas, like super gas or something.
I think that's called plasma.
Super bonded gas, otherwise known as a solid. Yeah, I mean, like
This may not be good, but it's a trans
back to
gas
Neil.
particle.
Neil's turn now.
Go on, Neil. You've waited.
I just wanted to say, the other day you were talking about how if you bring a normie in, they'll start to short circuit. I've seen that happening to my son. I've had him with me the past few days, and I see him just short circuiting. It's actually really funny.
Talking of your son, any evidence of the distance to the sun?
That's actually what he asked me yesterday.
I never hear them defend this. Out of all the arguments, this is the one they don't want to touch. I don't know what it is about it. None of them have the math. They don't have anything for this.
Oh, they do. Kepler's third law of
Well, I never hear them debate it.
Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion. Now, in order to apply that, you need a scalar. You need to know how big one of the lights in the sky is. Well, they use Venus. For the transit of Venus. That's what they're going to utilize in this example. And what they're going to do to attain this mathematics is assume that Venus has the same radius as Earth. And Earth's radius, which has been debunked by the Black Swan, is also assumed. So we've got Earth assumed to be a sphere with an assumed radius value, and then Christian Huygens assuming that Venus is the exact same size as the presupposition that Earth is a sphere. So the twinkly light called Venus is assumed to be the same size as Earth. That's why it's called Earth's twin. Not for any other reason that Christian Huygens arbitrarily assigned our R value, that was a presupposition to begin with, to that light in the sky, so he could apply Kepler's third law. So they do have the maths
So
for
it's
it.
not science.
It just requires a
It's not
lot of
science.
assumptions about the R value, which we've debunked.
And that's why they don't debate it, because they don't want to debate all those assumptions that even in their model, they have to make.
Yeah, it's
So
very
there
quick
would
to
be
say.
Because it makes them feel a
measurement-
little silly.
Shadows.
Because we've got a very quick route to the origin of the assumption when it comes to Venus. So how do we know Venus is the same size as Earth? Well, Christian Huygens assumed it. So that's the end of that argument.
So it's not science, right?
No, it's just an assumption by Christian Huygens that a light in the sky is not only spherical, but has the same radius value as a presupposed radius value for Earth as a sphere in a vacuum.
Hey Nathan,
So
has
what about
anybody
shadows?
ever in
Somebody
NASA?
asked
Sorry.
me about- I give up.
Has
One at a
anybody in
time.
NASA ever then proceeded to say, yeah, we actually proved that Venus is the same size with our satellite photos, comparing it to Earth's satellite
I
satellite
could kiss
photos?
you. That's
Did
excellent,
anybody ever
Owen.
say that?
Why would they? Why would
Hold
they
on,
need to?
chocolate.
The light.
Hold on, chocolate.
Yeah, yeah.
They could
Excellent.
have.
I could kiss you, Owen. Brilliant. Oh, so they might claim that they've now taken measurements. Where would the satellites that might be claimed to have taken this measurement? Where would they be? Where would they be operating exactly?
Next
It didn't go high
question.
enough.
please.
Not next question. Play along, Owen. Come on, don't be like that. For the audience's benefit, when Arwin puts something preposterous that's clearly a ball-tard claim, right? when I actually want him to go through the bit where he loses, he doesn't like doing it, even as a pretend ball-tard. He doesn't want to do it now, does he? Clearly. Come on, play along.
Serious actor.
Come on, play along.
It's when you do the high pitched. Where are those satellites supposed
Let's try
to be
again. Let's see if it works even higher.
He doesn't like it.
Let's just try it once more. Oh, so where are those satellites operating again?
There's one other. Don't forget, there's one other way to figure out.
Very
the distance to
high
the
up
sun.
in the gradient.
No, they claim to be in a sky vacuum in violation of natural law now, aren't they?
You taking piss out of me, Nathan?
Very thin air.
No.
You idiot!
Not at all.
I said the other way that they have to do the distance to the sun is you have to know the distance to the moon, and you have to measure the sun at the solstice over the horizon. Think about that one for a second. That's the other way to measure the distance to the sun. There's two assumptions in there, two problems in there, so you guys can figure it out.
Wait. Don't you need a radius for all of that?
Yeah, you do, yeah. Black Swan, baby.
Shucks.
Yeah, that does
But you got to know, how do you verify the distance to the moon? And also, how do you know that the moon is disorbiting the Earth? And also, isn't the horizon refracted? There's all kinds of problems with that one.
Yeah, there's all kinds of problems, but the main one being, how do you know you're experiencing an orbit or an orbital path of the moon? Well, that's just a begging the question fallacy, isn't it? I know it's falling around Earth as a sphere. Oh, right, that's just an assumption of your outcome, though, isn't it? Orbits is a begging the question fallacy. As soon as you hear the word orbit, you say you're begging the question, because they are.
Yeah. What's an orbit?
What's an orbit again? Oh, a presupposed trajectory around a sphere, Earth in a vacuum? That sounds pretty much like you're assuming your outcome there, my friend, with the word orbit.
Yep.
Moving on. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? Kiwi Forever. Did you want to... Was it Kiwi Forever? Can't read, it's too small. Kiwi Farmer.
Hello, Nathan.
Oh, just
PhD Tony.
thought you'd introduce a whole load of background noise while I was talking. Thank you for that. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? Don't all go at once.
No, not. I thought Discord
Tumbleweed
was going
sound.
to pipe in, but they weren't. So
So if you are, by any chance, like, I don't know, Thunderf00t, Becky, people like that, and you are under the misapprehension that you're doing science, all you need to do is provide us with a viable hypothesis to defend this next statement. Astrophysics, pseudoscience. Astronomy, pseudoscience. Cosmology, pseudoscience. Now, the only way you can disprove that is by giving us a viable hypothesis. That's it. That's all you got to do. Right, I'm going to shout out a couple of super chats. Sorry, whoever was about to start. DJ Neo Shaman, thank you very much. I disliked Thunderf00t's video. Good deed done for the day. Hashtag, thank you. Next. Very good. Thank you very much indeed for the support, DJ Neo Shaman. Also, Godzilla37. Pride is the atheist's poison. Yeah, I agree. That's a very good statement, Godzilla. His video response to me was very prideful. And Quantum Eraser also said exactly the same thing. So yeah, I completely agree. Flat Earth is the cure. Unfortunately, the poison is easier to take. I like that. That's the best super chat of the day so far, Godzilla. Thank you very much indeed.
So Nathan, you said something about cosmology and all that. So the reason it's not science is because the only thing they have in is observation. They can't go any further, correct?
I meant astrophysics rather than cosmology, but there we go.
Okay.
Yes, you're right.
What were the three?
Cosmology, astrophysics, and astronomy.
Right. So a dependent variable, the effect, or some observance of an effect. And after that, what can they do?
Nothing. That's it.
Just wait longer.
Yeah. Maybe claim that time is the independent variable. Use a concept where you don't have anything to actually vary and manipulate to cause the effect you're observing and validate it scientifically. They don't have that. They just have step 1, observe natural phenomena. Sometimes they don't even have that. They just make something up without anything.
So how do they know the sun is a gas?
They claim stellar spectroscopy. Hey, Sleeping Warrior.
Hey.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah, Owen.
What's up?
Riley, what up, man?
Did we?
Because I was just gonna make a shout out because I saw your video about Spurs and Spurs destroying that PhD.
He did really well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Before we get into this, did we get through all the housekeeping questions? I lost track.
Wait,
I think we did. Yeah.
we left off at gas pressure without a container.
No, we definitely had that. No, I think we quickly did it. Yeah, perfect. We've concluded the housekeeping. Wonderful. Yeah, we need to take a few moments. Let's have an uninterrupted air. We need to take a few moments to praise Spurs. Because Spurs did fantastically for one reason. He stuck to the scientific method. And as a direct consequence, he handed a PhD his ass. And got the guy very, very riled. While he told him, like Eric Cartman in South Park, respect my authority! I have PhD! You listen to what I tell you!
The other good thing about it was, even with an attempt from Fight the Flat Earth to derail him with a sideswipe, which was something to do with, do you know the difference between acceleration and velocity, or something along them lines? Spurs identified that it was a sideswipe, brought it back on track, and asked him again, how did you manipulate it? And he lost his marbles. Well, they know that the guys know that they can't manipulate gravity, right? Even if they do think it's a force. So aside from the fact that it's the old science, it's not the current physics, he knows he can't manipulate it. And Spurs is bang on point. It's almost as if the guy was saying, who do you think you are knowing this information? That information is restricted only for us scientists.
Yeah, that was the best part. How triggered he got. How dare you question my authority in science? When he's directly asking him about scientific method, and he can't respond, and the dude is getting pissed. It was great. And Fight the Flat Earth. First of all, why does a PhD need fight the tight shirt to jump in for him? Are you kidding? Against a regular guy like Spurs? That's pathetic.
He must have been
Not the best was how Spurs kept saying, sir.
Yeah, Spurs kept it nice, very cordial, and at the same time handed this guy his ass.
You're the professor. I'm the student. I'm just asking questions.
I think that's defined as having an ass on a silver plate.
Hold on. So what do we want to add something from Discord? Didn't see you flashed.
I just said, sir. He just kept saying, sir. Sort of like mocking him to me.
Yeah, Spurs has got that kind of tone, but I don't think he was actually saying it to mock him. I think he was actually genuinely being respectful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he just wanted to know. I just want to know what you manipulated, sir. I'm just asking questions. I'm just a student.
I'm just asking.
No, I think Chemo is definitely trying to get under his skin a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
He doesn't like the.
He didn't
false
have to try. That's the beautiful part. He didn't have to try. Just asking us a quote unquote scientist about his scientific method pissed him off.
Yeah. He hasn't got any.
Beautiful.
That's why. He hasn't got any.
I tell you what's been an unexpected side event. I think it seems to be directly linked, and I'm not sure that it is, but it seems to be. But Fight the Flat Earth wanted me to go onto his show today, and I said I'm not going on your show because basically I don't agree with all the money that's going around at the minute. People are doing weird things, and it seems to be all stemming from money, and I'm not going to encourage it. I don't agree with your demeanor. I don't agree with the way you belittle people. Blah blah blah. He called me a hypocrite. I called him an idiot, and that was kind of it. But I said, I'll go on your show if you don't monetize the video, leave it as demonetized, and then there's no financial reason for you to do anything other than talk science. And he agreed. So tonight at 9 p.m. British summertime, I'll be broadcasting my side, he'll be broadcasting his side. But Fight the Flat Earth's going to be trying to argue that gravity is something. Now, I'm not quite sure what he's going to be arguing. He wouldn't give me his advanced disclosure. But it's going to be interesting because there's been a bit of a background to this. About 12 months ago, we had a back and forth, and Fight and Flat Earth lost. And in that losing period, it caused him to go and get a PhD current physicist called George Musa, because I was saying that gravity is not a force. And he went and got George Musa. And in contrast to the PhD that Spurs came up against last night, George Musa was extremely professional, extremely polite, and disagreed with Craig by saying that gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. He also said some other phrase, which I'm sure Chocolate will be able to recite verbatim perfectly. But the point was that he was extremely polite. Now, when he didn't agree with Craig, Craig thinks that he actually agreed with him. Craig doesn't realize the guy was being professional and disagreeing with him properly. Craig thinks that gravity is a force and has continued telling people to this day that gravity is a force. But I heard the Spurs conversation with Fight Flat Earth recently, and he now seems to be conflating the Einsteinian model of gravitation with the Newtonian model of gravitation. He seems to be saying that they're the same thing. So if that's the angle he's now going to be going with, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a bloodbath, and it's going to be Fight the Flat Earth blood all over the floor. So make sure you tune in for that at 9 o'clock tonight.
We can.
Fight the Flat Earth is the only. He's the only streamer I know of that doesn't use Discord, because he challenges all these Flat Earthers, but he just doesn't use Discord. I don't know what it is.
So, Chocolate, what's not on the really is level?
Yeah, come on, Chocolate. You missed your calling.
We can, we do, we must consider Newtonian gravity as a force. Doesn't mean it really is one, but we don't necessarily have to work at the really is level. George Musa, 2019.
Now, obviously, this was on the back of a Sleeping Warrior week where he spent I didn't watch any of them, if I'm honest, but he spent the week ridiculing me. I don't know how he got a week's worth of content out of that. He did well for the whole week, but nonetheless, he's obviously butthurt because his favourite topic, gravity, isn't what he thinks it is, and he doesn't accept that everybody else in current physics doesn't agree with him. So obviously, tonight, we're going to be having a conversation, and I'm curious as to which way he's going to take this because, well, gravity is quite kind of important on their model. Without it, none of it works. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see which way he takes it.
Right, that even during the course of that interview, he tells Craig how even Newton himself didn't consider it to be an actual force.
No, a literal force.
Yeah.
No, he used the word literal.
Yeah, physical force.
So all you got to do is just replay his show with Mr. Musa and say, why didn't you challenge him as you're challenging me now? All you got to do is say what Musa told him, and he's stuck because he never challenged Musa with it.
I don't think he understood it. I think that Musa was doing the extremely polite thing, so it sounds like he's agreeing with him. But Craig didn't listen to what was actually being said, and he I think he still thinks to this day. Well, I know he still thinks to this day that Musa agrees with him, and all of current science agrees with him. But the guy's delusional. I don't know how he can think that when literally there is nobody out there in current physics that thinks gravity is a force.
No, I agree, Tony. You're absolutely right. All I'm saying is, as a strategy, if all you did was watch that old show and say everything Musa said, he can't say anything to you because he didn't say anything to Musa.
Oh.
But what did Musa actually tell him? He told him that gravity is not a force. But then he told him that if he chose to reify said mathematics, he could, if he wanted to. You can think of it as a force. Well, that's telling him you can reify this mathematics if you want to.
But he also said that Newton didn't himself believe it was a literal force. So now Musa knows what Newton meant by it.
Yeah, good morning. Sorry for the interruption. No matter what you think gravity may or may not be, the more you talk about it, the more people think it exists, the more it reifies it into existence. Like talking about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer's diet for his Christmas Eve. The more you talk about it, and if you start arguing about what his diet is, and then you argue why it's nutritionally wrong that he gets the food that's claimed and all this nonsense, you're still reifying the concept of gravitation in the same way that you're reifying Rudolph's pre-Christmas Eve antics. No, it doesn't make it true.
Just
That's
1 sec.
the overall position.
Gotcha, good. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, how can I find that video between Spurs and that PhD?
Well, the annotated version's on my channel. It's one of my most recent updates. Alternatively, you can go to Fight the Flat Earth. I think it's his most recent one. There's 2.
Go to Spurs' channel. He's got it up nicer. He's just got the part that's between him and that guy.
Oh, hold on. From the chat, Brian's Logic's just told me that he actually took part in that show. Now, I didn't know that because I only watched the bit with Spurs. I'm really sorry, Brian's Logic. Feel free to join, though, and just fill us in on the details if there's something relevant, because I didn't see that bit. I'm really sorry. Also, hello, Quantum Eraser. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
Hey, John. Hey, John, I might be wrong in saying this, but I think Fight the Flat Earth's position is that you can conflate between Einsteinian and Newtonian gravitation freely because they have the same effect. Anything that you might want to suggest, if that's his position?
Frontal lobotomy.
Let's remove the brain through the neck cavity and out the arse. That would be a much more interesting way of doing it.
Or highlight the differences between the two. For example, Newtonian gravity is a force, and Einsteinian gravity is not a force. You could just highlight that.
Just ask them to scientifically validate either if you want to have some fun.
Yeah, because he says he's got scientific experiments that validate Einsteinian gravitation, and I'm like, oh, really? I'll have to brush up on my scientific method there, Fight the Flat Earth. I've not heard a baller say the word experiment for a while. Let's see what you got, buddy.
Oh, excellent. So the first question you need to ask is, what was the observed phenomena?
Yeah. Lights going past in the sky, I guess, maybe, or...
Maybe light in a LIGO machine or something like that. Who knows? What they think is natural is often something man-made.
God knows. But 9 o'clock British summertime on my channel. It's going to be interesting because there's been a bit, obviously it was 12 months ago or whatever it was now. And I'm looking forward to catching up with Craig because, well, he doesn't like being told that his favourite topic doesn't exist.
On that very subject, also, be here or be sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. So that's 1 p.m. Central Standard, 7 p.m. UK time tonight. And we will be discussing precisely that. The difference between something that can be validated with science, that would be a naturally occurring phenomena, versus the synthetic, aka man-made. So be here or be sphere, that's Quantum Eraser YouTube channel, 7 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Central Standard.
Thank you.
You're very welcome,
very well.
Quantum Eraser. Very welcome indeed. Did you see that you made it onto a almost million subscribed channel today?
No.
Yeah, so you feature in the Thunderf00t video.
Really?
You do.
I must have skipped that part because I thumbed through it. I didn't see myself in there.
Yeah, that's you point out that we've been asking for them to demonstrate the container without any containment.
Huh.
You have to listen.
That was really nice of him. Can I thank him?
Yeah, just watch his adverts.
Oh boy. Okay.
Any other comments on the Thunderf00t video?
From me?
Yeah. Why not?
He's Thunderf00t. Take your average baller here, and then have them sniff a boatload of glue, and that's what you get with Thunderf00t. That boy is friggin' moron. Fur. He's not even your average baller here.
I don't even know what he is. I was shocked by the level of his argumentation. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like 2015 stuff.
He's that bad? I gotta watch.
He's worse.
I gotta go see this guy now.
What did you think about his statement that the Boltzmann formula was the most important thing in science?
I must have skipped over that part. What was that I was dumbfounded with the Helios reference. We'll get back to yours, but where was he going with this Helios thing?
Oh, he was giving me a useful segue to show what helium does when he decided to describe gas that has no intermolecular bonds as being like a solid completely bonded in the form of a bouncy ball. So I just took that helium example and showed what helium actually does. That would be expands rapidly in all directions to fill the available volume. Also goes up in defiance of his 105-year out-of-date rhetoric about gravity being some sort of force.
Jeez. I did like the power lines blowing to smithereens, the helium balloons. That was great. Did you see? Excuse me. Did you see Jose turn up on the show last night, Nathan? It seems to have been triggered by when I said that ballers can't go onto Nathan's because they die very quickly when they do. And Jose joined to say, I can't go on Nathan's because I'm blocked. Which obviously then says, like, well, why was that, Jose? Because I just went on to do this and that, basically because he was being an idiot. I can't remember the exact reason, but Jose got blocked for being an idiot. And he joined to say that he can't go onto Nathan's because...
I know why. I know why. Because I blocked him. You want to know why? Because he surreptitiously taped on Betty's server without telling the people in the server that he was taping. You slime ball. That's why.
And then it's worse than that. He actually, when asked, declared that he was not recording, so he also lied about it. Just for the audience's benefit, I have no control over the server. So it's not my server. I'm very graciously given the use of the Flat Earth Science versus Pseudoscience Discord server, which is Betty's server. And she very kindly lets me use it. I have no experience with Discord. I don't know how to use it, and it's completely managed for me. Now, Quantum Eraser, as much as he probably doesn't like me pointing this out, it's not his server either. But then again, he's got a very good relationship with Betty, so therefore he can ban people on occasion, having checked with the boss, which is Betty.
Right to hand. Why are you banned, you slime bag yourself? Well, you insulted a certain woman. That's why. And you know why. Right? If you were here, I'd reach down your throat and rip your fucking lungs out. You got that, son.
No swearing, please.
Don't even mention his name. Don't mention his name.
Clown.
Sorry, don't mention Right the Hand's name. Why would you say that?
Yeah. Because he's a troll, isn't he? And he just likes his name being mentioned. That's why he does it. So just don't mention his name.
I see. Oh, fair enough. I don't care. Like I say, I wouldn't have him banned. I wouldn't have probably anybody banned if it was my server. It'd be like the chat, the total pits. But yeah, Betty knows better than I do. So there we go.
He's a real sewer rat. Of course, they all are. Most are retarded sewer rats, but everyone knows this. I'm not telling anyone anything they don't know.
Yeah, often we're dealing with liars, like overt liars. Like we'll actually ask them directly. For example, with Jose, are you recording this, Jose? Only so you can go away and say, ha, I caught you out with blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not recording, actually. Total lie. Yeah, just dealing with scum. Liars. But what's more fun than dealing with the people who are actually part of the community, like Jose or Rumpus or Zanuck or any of the other overt liars that we have to deal with on an almost daily basis, we're now getting some engagement from people who are perhaps a little less savvy in the argument. You know, don't appreciate that we've actually got this all wrapped up now. We've debunked the R. The only thing you had, the assumption of an R value, we've debunked that, so the argument's over. It's completely untenable as a model. Heliocentrism's dead. But we're getting people like that involved now, like Thunderf00t. It's really good. As opposed to the complete clowns that we have to deal with normally.
This was a rap 4 years ago. Now we're just laughing at them.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're
just
laughing.
Because the best of them has conceded that this nonsensical geometric horizon, aka Earth curve, only existed in the math. So where do the others have to go now? If the best has already conceded, and when I say the best, I mean, I say it loosely, but even he's conceded that it's only in the math. So where do they go from here?
Oh, it's depression.
I'm sorry,
and then
who is the
acceptance.
best? I didn't get a name.
We do. we do.
Oh, shit.
the best of them, and I say
the best of. I got you.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Well, do you not all see a changing of the guard here? They have run their course. They've lost every argument, and there'll be a whole new crop coming up. And Rumpus wants to be relevant, so he keeps popping in and out just to stay relevant. But he's done. He's lost every argument. He says he's never been wrong, and all we've asked him is to show Earth curve, and all he does is back our excuse me, our statement from the beginning. It's perspective. Everything you see is optical. Everything that changes one day from another is based on atmo and what's happening in the air, with the water being cold or hot, or the air being cold and hot. And we can prove this left and right. And so all they've done is they've hijacked perspective and called it Earth curve. And we said, wait a minute, aren't you supposed to have a geometric edge? That should be your Earth curve, and it should be no more than 1.23 miles at a 1 foot observer height. Yeah, but you can't see it. So no Earth curve then.
Can't measure it.
So they've lost.
Can't measure it, can't see it, only exists in maths. But should you try and measure it, like Al-Biruni did, you can get within 5% of a position that can't be measured, cannot be seen, and only exists in maths, don't you know?
And then we get told, well, at best, what you've done is disprove the radius. Oh, well, thank you. We appreciate that, yeah. Thanks for catching up.
Yeah,
but Al-Biruni.
The worst thing was, though, he even backed down on those words afterwards, saying that he never said them. But yet, when presented with the video of him actually saying those words, he still denies that he said them. I'm like, what are you talking about? You can't deny it when you're on camera saying it, but he just pretends he didn't say it. It's like,
saying it.
Yeah.
Nobody on this side calls him out for it.
Sleepy Warrior did a whole video series. He needed more clown music, but basically he denied even saying that. He even put a challenge up that basically asserted, like a bet, you won't be able to prove I've said those words, and then Anthony just played them. And he still denied it. It was unreal.
Yeah.
Wow.
I ignored him ever since that. I was like, Jesus Christ, you guys can say or do anything you want and then just change it as though it never happened and expect that people will just accept that it didn't happen because you said it didn't happen, even though you're on camera. It's like Hillbilly Blue Balls with the gas pressure of that container video title, but he uses a pipe to get the container pressure. He doesn't seem to see, and none of the ballers seem to call him out on it. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I don't know how people get away with this on their side. They're just completely and utterly dishonest.
Yeah, same with people like Prof. Phil Bell, who would laugh along while they all do the usual routine of claiming that we're idiots because we say things like water vapor's a gas, and they laugh their heads off. What idiot flat earthers? They think water vapor's a gas. Yeah, it is. But a professor who works in hydrology, I kid you not, will laugh and say, and I quote, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard," in agreement to idiots claiming that water vapor is not a gas. Professor of hydrology, kid you not.
He claimed he never said that.
That was my point. Sorry, good job you said that. I forgot my point. He also denied that he said that.
Jesus, man.
And Nathan, I was over talking to you there, and I apologize for that. But what I wanted to say was Al-Biruni back then got within 5%. And today, with all the technology and the instrumentation that they brag about, they can't even see it.
Yeah, we've gone from Al-Biruni being able to measure it to the modern situation where they declare that with a hand wave, we can't see a geometric horizon. Well, why would they say that? Well, because we've debunked it. We've demonstrated beyond all certitude that it can't be geometric, physical, and an Earth curve edge. So therefore, they tell us we can't see the geometric horizon. It only exists in the maths. Well, didn't it used to block boats and buildings?
Yeah.
Greetings from Los Angeles, boys, says Retro Bill. Thank you very much for the super chat, Retro Bill.
Greetings, sir.
It used to in the pre-Black Swan era.
What? Pre-2020?
Yep. That's when it used to, or that's when they were able to say it, but they can't even say it now. It's hilarious.
Now we get things like Who on earth would make the statement that if the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959, then every distance to horizon measurement must be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet? Who on earth would make such a straw man statement? That would be your claim that Earth's a sphere with geometry? You complete morons? They think that's a straw man now. They think their own claim is a straw man. That's how stupid the people we deal with are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those very limits are what they used to tell us we're blocking boats. So, yeah, you guys used to make that freaking statement. You guys retarded, man.
Haven't we confirmed that the Earth curve calculators use that formula?
Oh, yes, they definitely. It's basic standard geometry. Just utilization of a presupposed R value and an assertion inside elevation, otherwise known as Muppet vision, fondly by us, or orthographic view to be accurate, removes all aspects of perspective by placing you in the side of the frame. So you're on the left-hand side of the frame, the target's on the right-hand side of the frame, and you draw a line between you, seeing the side of your own head, and the target, which won't change its size regardless of distance. So in the Earth curve maths, a 10-foot wall is a 10-foot wall, even if it's 1 million miles away. And the only thing that's ever going to get that 10-foot wall to disappear is Earth curve, and they'll ask you how many feet and inches are missing from the 10-foot wall because Earth curve's got in the way. They just ignore the fact that the angular size of that 10-foot wall will decrease with distance, but they take that effect and call it Earth curve by showing you the side of your own head, even though you don't have that in the picture that you're going to be analysing with this curve maths that hijacks perspective.
Yeah, that's true. But my angle is that they're saying, where'd you ever get that number? And yet that's the very number they use in their Earth curve calculator. So it's like, wait a minute, why are you asking me where I got the number when it's within your math already?
Yeah. They're so stupid that they say, well, you need to prove the pre-statement. It's like, no, the modus tollens argument takes your claim, that would be the P-statement, and debunks it by demonstrating beyond all certitude that you can't have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. And their response is to say, you need to prove the statement if the Earth is a sphere with a radius 3959. It's like, no, that's your claim. You complete idiots. Well, they just deny it and call it a straw man now because we've debunked it.
Exactly.
So I'll do one last shout out to DJ Neo Shaman. Hashtag Black Swan for the win. Excellent work, gentlemen. Thank you for your tenacity, focus, and perseverance. Thank you very much indeed, Neo Shaman, for your super chat. If you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley or Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!